Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Dr. Soundarya, who works as an assistant professor in the Department of English and Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Katangulathur campus. She is the recipient of the National Award for the Young Educator and Scholar Award on 5th September 2019 by National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development in their 10th National Teachers Day Awards. Congratulations, ma'am. She's also awarded the title of Kote Koil by JCI Rocktown. She has also received the Sri K. Rajagopalan Endowment Award in the year 2013 for the Best Outgoing Student. She has edited and contributed to the Distant Education book and guide for General English. She has several publications to our academic records. We are really happy to have you with us, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for this introduction of mine. Thank you so much. Let me see if know how this goes. First of all, a very good morning and hello to all of you. I heard Mr. Praveen sir's presentation. I was truly awestruck, as Amit sir said. Thank you so much. Thank you. So shall we go ahead? I'll try to, fit your lunch schedule in as well. Ma'am, can you present?
Yes, ma'am, I'll present, ma'am. I'll present.
Yes. Can you hear me? Is everything audible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am, is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right. So I guess many of you are literature students in here, and I just want to make sure that I'm addressing to research scholars. Am I? All right. Okay, so why is research in gender studies the need of the hour? Why do you think so? Why do we have to work towards becoming a part of better humanity? And why and how could us be an ally? So do you have answers for that? We can just have an interactive session.
Participants, you can answer.
You can also chat in the
yeah, you can also post your answers in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and you can give your answers.
Yes, Richa.
Yes, and shall I post my answer or shall I speak it out loud?
No, anything is fine, whichever mode you're comfortable with.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, gender studies, according to me, is important in understand not only what I as a female think about myself, what is my status and what should be my status in the society. I also need to know as to is there in any way I'm oppressing other genders, as in maybe the transgenders or maybe the male gender also. So this becomes very important as to it brings forth different kinds of problems faced by different sections of different genders, and also it highlights as to how queer is important and how the sexual orientation sexual orientation does not make you less important in society. So this is what gender studies opens up scope for.
That's right. Thank you so much, Richa. The whole point of gender studies is to accommodate all the genders and is to work towards becoming a part of humanity, and we have to be an ally for everybody, for every human being that we meet, that we think we should be, because we have to help ourselves in the whole process because we have been taught otherwise. So that is how the whole presentation is going to be. Ma'am, please, next slide. So what is gender? What is sex? Are they any different? How could research mend the society? Why is gender studies important? So these are the questions that I'm going to answer. These are rhetorical. Please don't mind. So what is gender? Gender is a social construct that ranges from one's behavior, roles, identities, and as well it varies from societies and over time. It's often categorized as a male and female, which is wrong on all levels. I'll tell you why. Gender is something that is an individual sense of self and a sense of identity. So what is sex then? So sex is a biological account of maleness or femaleness. This is based on our reproductive organs, just our genitals. So under this category, if we call them either male or female, we reduce anybody, any person to just their biological structure. For example, we say male writers, female writer, male playwright, which means we are just talking about, sorry? Yeah. We're talking about, this has to be eradicated, the usage of this word, because we are not dealing with people's sex, which is biological, but with gender. So having said that, are they any different? Of course they are different. Just as I said, one can be a male and can choose to be a woman. One can be a female and can choose to be a man. So this condition is mostly with the transgenders, which shows up during puberty or even before that. The drive towards being a particular or becoming a particular gender, the drive towards that. So this condition of transgenders is not just physical, but emotional and psychological. So why did I say all these things? Is to answer two important major questions. How could research mend the society? Why am I supposed to do research in gender studies, and how is it going to mend the society, or at least try to mend the society? That's what I have to say. So as I say, thinking or thoughts shape the society. With the thinking populace, the society evolves. So this is one of the prime reasons why gender studies should continue to be researched extensively. It should not be stopped until it reaches every individual from every nook and corner. So I will back this up in a bit. Again, why is gender studies important? As I told you, in this pluralistic world, we have to make sure that the obvious and the most important ideologies have to reach the people. So we have been under the clutches of patriarchy for centuries together, and gender studies is just a step towards better humanity. So again, as I told you, I'll back this up. This is my story. So this is the story of my 3-year-old PhD. So I was not always the most studious student or the topper of the class, but I was the below average student when I was in my school. But what made me do research was the quest that I had for people, for human beings in general. And I was a very, very staunch and a strong feminist, as a radical feminist. I was angry on patriarchy, angry on all men. I was angry on the whole, idea of, femaleness and maleness. Now you understand what is femaleness and maleness, right? Yeah?
Can I change?
No, not yet. Just a minute. So yeah, I only wanted to do my best when it came to research. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do on gender studies, and I'm going to call out all men, and I'm going to, put my rage against all these men who have been tormenting women for centuries together. Is it false? No, it's not false. But is it the right way to do a PhD? Not at all. So I wanted a PhD. I wanted to do PhD. So in literature, feminism, and so I started, searching for the right topic. I went through a lot of sources which actually voiced whatever I thought. I did a literature survey, literature review, and I went through a lot of concepts. And then I got one concept called psychoanalytic feminism. And I made myself familiar with the American psychoanalytic feminism and French psychoanalytic feminism and so-called concepts of it. This was very, very interesting, trust me. So it was this research that made me understand the intricacies of victimization and power. So I realized that I was a victim feminist for quite a long time, and I was masking my victimized self, with a veil of, how do I say it, rage or wrath. So I was doing that for quite a long time without even realizing that I was doubly victimizing myself each time I spoke feminism. So I wanted to strengthen myself to become a powerful feminist, and I arrived at a point where, how to be a strong feminist, 101 for strong feminists, so which is the reason why I'm here. So I figured out that the other waves have made their own mistakes. We cannot say no, we cannot make mistakes. Yes, we are human beings and we can make mistakes after all. So I'll get back to this point of power feminism that I am insisting about. Ma'am, next slide, please.
Yes.
So what am I going to do in this? I'll get back to history in a bit, but before that, please tell me or use the chat box to tell me your opinions about feminism. Do you think it is outdated? I'll just give you a minute to talk or type. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you really think feminism is outdated? Anybody can say, anybody can speak.
Participants, you can.
Groaning.
Yes.
I want the men in the room to talk, please. It can never be outdated. Yes, thank you. All right. So, anyone else? It's outdated. All right. Okay. So if you said, yes, it is outdated, why do we feel that way? Do you think that we have reached the sense of purpose already? And how many of us are really able to think individually? And do you really think it is time to call off this revolution? Come on, let's talk. As long as men are there, it can help. Yeah. And if you say no, why do you feel that way? What do you think needs to be done? Why do you think, what do you think should be improved? Where are we actually falling short? Why haven't we reached this, sense of purpose yet? Yeah, men aren't to be blamed. That's right. But the misogyny and patriarchy. Yes, you're right. So now I think Sri Harsha is a strong feminist. Women should come out of their comfort zone. Very well. Equalism is needed. Wonderful. Feminism is already equalism. That's right. All right. Let's move on. So these are the two responses that we will have, the binary responses, for which we have a happening idea. This is one of the main reasons why we brought in something called gender studies. The answer to why gender studies, let's delve into it. Ma'am, next slide, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So you must definitely know that there are several waves, that we have crossed, that we have, walked across, etc. and etc. Feminism actually dates back to several centuries, back, as in where women started movements that, you know, where they thought we have to be equal. Somehow or the other, it sprung in their minds. So it mainly started in the medieval Europe and France. You must know Christiane de Pizan and Mary Wollstonecraft from the Renaissance and before. So these women started the idea of spreading women's rights through pamphlets. So, and then came the suffrage movement, which is a political era. So they worked towards fetching women equal rights to vote and to work. So during this first wave of feminism, women achieved their voting rights exactly in 1928, and they paved way to radical feminism and other kinds of feminism. So which made sure that, you know, they should not just stop with women's suffrage, but for equal pay, for equality in labor, which actually happened during the World War II. You know what happened during the World War II? Men went for the wars, and women have to be the sole breadwinners of the family, and so they have to work. Those they had to work, and when men finished their wars and they came back home, their, you know, jobs were easily replaced, and uh, sorry, women's jobs were easily replaced by men, and they had to come back home. That this raised a big question in their minds. So that's the reason why World War II, you know, has a huge significance. So women from the second wave were only white, middle class, upper class women. So these women from the second wave were hell bent in finding equality, and they raised their girls to be independent. So this is where radical feminism and liberal feminism strengthened. So you could see this throughout the second and third wave of feminism. The former is more into breaking patriarchy and building a safe space for women, while the latter is formulated around building, you know, powerful women and bringing women to positions and all that. And then the third wave was more accommodative of women from all races, and they started working towards the betterment of the third world countries. Unlike the white upper and middle class women, this also included the Afro-American women and women of all races. And also they started working towards the betterment of third world countries. That is where India comes. Our sati system and all those were slowly abolished. So having, you know, expressed or established this freedom of sexuality, marriage, and other institutions like abortion and all that, the third wave feminists actually use the media for letting other women know that, you know, we are here for you, and there is a stance that we can make in this world right now. So while people thought that feminism was over, actually people thought that feminism was over and the goals have been achieved. There came a great movement which led to the fourth wave, which is the most disgusting of all, the sexual harassment, body shaming, and the rape culture, aka the Me Too movement hashtag. So though it started by 2006, it could be witnessed that the fourth wave started from 2012. This is of a big debate, but the trivia is 2012. So this fourth wave was all-inclusive and all-encompassing. By all-inclusive and all-encompassing, I mean the inclusion of LGBTQIA+, and no inclusion of men, the inclusion of all the other sexualities. I'll talk about that in a bit. So the fourth wavers still think that it's not over and they have a really long way to go. Though critics, a few critics, they say that we have gone past feminism into the era called post-feminism. The fourth wavers disagree. So this fourth wave is the route to psychoanalytic feminism and the post-feminism, which we are going to talk about in a bit. So what now? Do you think we have achieved it? I'd say definitely not. Until we could bring a friend home, be it a man or a woman or a transgender or a person from any kind of sexuality, any disguise, without having to explain to the society and put labels on them, no, we haven't achieved it. Until we we could save explanations too. Sorry? Ma'am, are you talking?
No.
Okay. Where was I? Anyway, until we could save our explanation and to our sexual fluidities, we haven't achieved it. Until we could walk hand in hand with love and not with power, no, we haven't achieved anything. I would not say anything, but we have to achieve a lot. So shall we move on?
Shall I move, ma'am?
Yes. Okay, so a sneak peek into the future. Wait, not the future yet. It's just a path. So we're going to discuss a few ideas that I think would help the future. So what is the future? What does the future hold? Where would feminism stand in the future, and how will it be looked at? So this is where I think we should bring an idea called the power feminism. So power feminism is something that feminists have been talking about for quite a long time, but it hasn't seeped in our minds yet, I think. I still believe that. So this is the feminism that talks about how women should hold power without having to victimize themselves. You remember my story back just before I told you that I was a very strong, radical feminist. I was an angry feminist, and then I read power feminism. I read this work of Naomi Wolf called Fire with Fire, and other books of hers, and other books of power feminists who are also called post-feminists. So these people really opened my eyes, and I quickly switched to having power. So, as Naomi Wolf puts it, victim feminism is appealing to status on the basis of feminine specialness instead of human worth, and fight underhandedly rather than honorably. And there are other quotes from her, and another psychoanalytic feminist, Jessica Benjamin. I'll just um, read them if you would want me to. The power feminism welcomes men and honors their place in the lives of women. Assertion and recognition, they become the vital moves in the dialogue between self and the other. I am pretty sure you know what is self and what is other, because that's what Bevo and many other people have been talking for quite a long time. Again, power feminism encourages us to identify with one another primarily through the shared pleasures and strengths of femaleness, rather than through our shared vulnerability and pain. So this is from Wolf, Naomi Wolf, from 1993, where that was when we were in our third wave. As I told you, it's kind of seeping in a bit late. Anyway, this is from a novel called The Distant Shores, written by Kristen Hanna. How could a woman who'd clipped her own wings teach her babies to fly? So can you answer this question for me, please? Anybody in the room? Okay. No, a woman has clipped her own wings and she cannot fly, but she has to teach her babies to fly. How? If you are not powerful, if you do not think that you are powerful, how are you going to teach your kids about power? This is the question. So you could ask our children to explore. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Ma'am, should I go to the next slide?
Yeah, hold on just a minute.
Okay.
I'll let you know, ma'am. So the point is, yeah, you can show someone else, but our parents are better examples. We have to live, to teach our kids about, all these ideologies. That's the whole point that I was trying to arrive at. But this is going somewhere else en route to, getting help from someone else. No. The point is, if a woman is not strong herself, if a woman is clipped to her, with the, under her own wings forever, under the veil of victimization, telling that, okay, you have done this to me, you have done this to me for centuries together, she cannot teach her child to fly. Yes, Richa, we'll come back to that. That is power feminism. So slowly we have to move towards the goal. What is the goal? That is what is the idea behind this. So I'll talk about it in just a bit. Ma'am,
Yes.
the next slide. Yeah, that's right, Komal. That's right.
Next slide,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, no, this is it. This is it.
Okay.
So we are going to talk about
So,
sexualities, LGBTQIA plus. Who are they or what are they? Yeah, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, asexual, and a plethora of new additions. So I don't have to read from the slide. You guys can pretty much do that. So the language that the LGBTQIA plus people use is constantly evolving because they are also growing and new terms keep appearing. And that is the reason why we have a plus after that, so that we can keep adding into the horizon of LGBTQIA plus category. So the basic ideologies or the not so basic ideologies of LGBTQIA plus. Lesbian is a woman who's sexually or emotionally attracted and attached to another woman. Gay, this is usually used for a man, but it's now gender neutral. So a man who's sexually or emotionally attracted to other men. Bisexual is a person who's sexually or emotionally attracted to more than one gender. So this is used to exclusively mean attraction to both men and women. Um, Transgender, you know who a transgender is. We just discussed that. A person who is identified as a male or a female or as assigned a sex at birth, but later on, has a different gender identity as such. So, where are we? LGBTQ. Q is, as I told you, queer is actually an umbrella term. This refers to anyone who's not straight and to who's not straight or cisgender meaning heterosexual. So these people whose gender identity and expression, do not match with whatever has been assigned at birth. So this queer is also, as I told you, can also be questioning. A person who questions one's own identity because they might be existential, or they might question their gender identity, or they are in a learning curve of figuring out who they are. So that is the reason why there's questioning. Intersex. Intersex is something who naturally have their biological traits, as in they are born with both the genitals. So they have this XXY chromosomes and have an ambiguous genitalia. So one organ will be big, the other organ will be small, and there are a lot of controversies that are going on with intersex people. They want their sex to be determined by themselves, which can be done not until their puberty. But if they do not do the surgery beforehand, there are some medical conditions that are harness their in their lives. So there are a lot of speculations going on with intersex. Again, we'll move on. Asexuals, often referred to as ace. This is an umbrella term for individuals who do not experience or experience in a very low level, the experience of sexual desire. They don't get attracted sexually to anybody. So there are different types of asexuals, romantic asexual, aromantic asexuals. So they some romantic asexuals will have romantic or platonic relationships, which does not include sex. Aromantic asexuals are people who do not, even like the idea of romanticizing or even kissing. Anyway, so these are A, and plus, as I told you, several other genders and sexualities added. We'll see a few of them in here. We have a thing called pansexual, a gender called, sorry, a sexuality called pangender, pansexual. This pan is a term which describes a person who's sexually, romantically, emotionally attracted to people regardless of sex or gender identity. So demisexual, this is a new term that has been brought into this umbrella, this horizon. This sexual attraction is formed only after an emotional bond. So this is a bond does not have to be romantic, but has to be emotional. So gender non-conforming is also another term where they do not want to conform their gender prevailing to cultural, social expectations or any gender expression that is perceived to be encompassing the gender that they think. Again, polysexuals are people who get attracted to men, women, and transgenders. And these are a few terms. You can just go read it in the internet. This is pretty much available everywhere. Ma'am, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
In the next slide, yes. So, okay, so now that we know what the other sexualities and genders are, and how the whole feminism has taken a new shape, we are going to come to one important question: gender and society. How do we look at them? What are we even trying to achieve? Where are we heading to? So what is power feminism going to do? And now that we know LGBTQIA+, how is it going to help us? The answer is this. So the answer starts with a question: gender roles and gender identities. Gender identities. This is something you identify with, and roles are something that are assigned to you. Identifying yourself with a particular gender, it might look really close to being assigned to one, but they are different. Just like how freedom and liberation sound and appear. Have you ever given a thought to it? So freedom is something that is given. Somebody gives you freedom. Somebody makes you, gives you your country or for you, for example, freedom. But liberation, that is from within. I hope you remember Rabindranath Tagore's poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, that talks about liberation. Let's not go there. So the same goes with identifying oneself and assigning a role to one. We have several roles, aka stereotypes, that have been assigned to us in the long run for centuries and eons together, and we struggle to demarcate between the two. So now let's look at the pictures. Can you relate with this? Come on. Anybody? Aren't we struggling to get out of these stereotypical gender roles? Yeah, exactly. Your father cannot cry. Your brothers cannot cry. Your brothers cannot wear a rubber band just to experiment. We cannot laugh. Women cannot laugh loud because we're not supposed to laugh. Women cannot use the word sex. Women cannot talk about it. Yeah, boys cannot like pink. How strange, how crazy, right? So should women always look after the chores? Yes, women cannot use slangs. Exactly. Women should sit properly. That's right. And women cannot voice out their opinions. Yeah, women should cover up. That's true. Okay, my mother looks after all the household chores. My father has never helped her. See, if the husband cooks, then the wife is looked down upon. Yes. Very true, Ramya. Tell me about it. Fathers babysit, whereas it's mother's duty. Perfect. So these are the stereotypes that we have been, fighting against, because, a household is the responsibility of whoever is living in the household, even the child for that matter. And it's important that we give each other space. Yeah. Yes. Naomi. Yeah, that's right. So it's important to give the space, the emotional space for each other. And as I told you, women have been struggling for for quite a long time. All right, I'll talk about that the next slide. But these are the stereotypes that we have been fighting against, and still there is something lacking. There is something that's been happening around, and we are still not able to accept a lot of things. Just as you all told. We'll move on to the next slide. What do you think about loss? Please write that in the chat box. I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Do you think the law is favoring a particular gender? Exactly, Sri Harsha. Alan, yes, okay. You feel that it's not fair. Yes. That's right. Yes. Richa is all rational and skeptical, huh? Yes, Sri Harsha. Thank you. Many of you have written yes. It looks so at the wake of it. Yeah. As you can see from the screen, I'm going to read the quote that is given in here. An act to provide for more effective protection of rights of women guaranteed under the Constitution. Protection of women from domestic violence. Again, a man committing any of the following acts: physical contact, a demand, showing pornography, making sexually colored remarks, etc. and etc. This is from the IPC. So I'm not saying that India has gone past the third wave. No, but we have a really long way to go. So as I told you, domestic violence is considering only women. There is no domestic violence that is considered for men. While the Indian Penal Code, which is supposed to include all the genders, if it were that case, it would have been a positive addition to the law. But as you can see, there is a repeated usage of the gender man in the place of an offender. But let's look at it from a feminist perspective. And when we look at the feminist perspective, I just want you to think about the reservation system. Many of them are talking about the reservation system and how people have come up the ladder, and the reservation system is not needed. There's a group which is talking about it, and then we have another group which says no, we still have to have it because many of them are still struggling. So this reservation system is what I'm talking about right now. This is the leverage that we give for people who have been struggling for quite a long time. So when you talk to a person from the so-called oppressed communities or the so-called lower stratum, they will be very angry. I bet you must have seen that. Just the childhood trauma, the societal pressure, or the continued oppression of one particular class over another for eons together, this definitely would make any person angry. So I just, got this in my mind. Do you know Merchant of Venice? You must have definitely had that in your 12th grade, if I'm not wrong. Yeah? Come on, guys. Shakespeare, man.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, Merchant of Venice, who's the villain in Merchant of Venice?
Shylock.
Shylock, right? All of us can only think about Shylock.
No,
Shylock,
Prospero also.
uh, Prospero, that's Tempest.
Tempest.
Sorry. It's okay, no problem. We all are here to make mistakes. Yes. Uh, Listen, so Shylock is the villain, and we all have come to a conclusion that yes, Shylock is the villain. But when you look at the intricacies of Shakespeare's writing, actually Shylock is not the villain. You have to read the whole drama, not just the excerpt that they give you in the 12th grade. Shylock is a Jew, all right? And Antonio and Bassanio are Christians. You can imagine that. Can you? Can't you? So since Shylock is a Jew, these people, especially Antonio Bassanio and other Christians, they, in the book that's written in the book, I'm not making this up. They actually spit on his face each time they look at him because he's a Jew. All right. So you know the whole Jew Christian thingy. I don't have to go about it all the way around. So when someone beats you every day, won't you be angry? When someone spits at you every time you pass on your face, I mean, you'll be infuriated. Yes, that's the whole point. That's the reason why Shylock took revenge. But that's not there. That's never showed. Isn't it? So this, why I'm giving this example is that women are infuriated. The so-called lower stratum of people are infuriated. Give them some space to vent out their emotions. Come on, let's talk about mental health issues. So for eons together, for centuries together, people have been oppressed and they are angry. They will be angry. And yes, I understand that, why are we supposed to take the blow for something that is not done by us, something that has been done by our forefathers? I have no answer for that, but we are supposed to take the blow for the betterment of the society. So this is the leverage that we have to give to anybody who's struggling, anybody who's still trying to get their, thinking out of the so-called binary or the opposing dyads of white and black, dark and light. There's a gray line in between. And to come to that, it definitely takes a lot of years, a lot of reading. And even now, you might not agree with me on this power feminism, gender studies or whatever I'm going to talk in a bit. But that is the reality. That is where we have to head to. Ma'am, can we move on to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So gender and culture. Many a time, as history speaks itself. So some stories that I want to talk to you is the homosexuality and sexual fluidity in several countries, including India. Cross-dressing. You know the idea of cross-dressing, right? Many of you must have a picture of you from childhood where you cross-dress. Please tell me yes. Yes. So all of us have cross-dressed in our lives, and this cross-dressing has also been done by Lord Krishna in many, many epics or many interpretations of the epics, I should say, just to, tease or be with his gopikas. I'm not going to go into that. That is another feminist problem. But I'm just talking about homosexuality and sexual fluidity. Again, Chudala. Chudala is a person, he's a man, woman. Who became a man to enchant her husband. You get the point? And Mandatha, whose mother was a man. So Aravan, whose wife was the complete man. So these are stories from our epics, and this homosexuality was in India. It is not a Western ideology. So at least this is what interpretators and mythologists say. You can go to any temple, you can see that from the sculptures. I bet you must have seen them. Again, we're going to talk about a few other epics or a few other mythologies, if I can say that. Many a time you can see from Greek mythology or in Norse mythology for that matter, either women are goddesses or witches, either good or bad, and we have a lot of account of sexual fluidity, homosexuality in them as well. I'm pretty sure you must have watched Game of Thrones. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Way to go. So, as I told you, patriarchy, this came after that, and it took a toll on sexual fluidity, and civilization made women the weaker sex. And women have become the objects of patriarchy, and the epics were rewritten in such a way that we wouldn't understand the underlying sense of sexual fluidity or homosexuality. For example, you must have seen in a lot of old movies, I'm sure a lot of you watch Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, or whatever Indian cinema, old cinema, where if there is a sexual scene that has to be portrayed, will have two flowers like this, joining hands like this and all that. Have you seen all that? It's okay to watch all that. Yes. So the underlying idea behind all these things is that people do not want us to know what actually happens to us when life happens. We shouldn't know. That is the whole point. I don't understand how we live if we do not know all these things. But anyway, this is how patriarchy has treated sex, patriarchy has treated homosexuality, patriarchy has treated sexual fluidity. Is patriarchy designated to a man? No. It is designated to human beings, all of us. We are all patriarchal in nature, just like how we are all racist in nature, by nature. We have to evolve out of it. We have to unlearn a lot of concepts that has been taught, just like how we are unlearning a lot of things, a lot of ideologies, just like how we can cry, just like how we can emote, just like how it is important to make sure that our mental health is intact, and to unlearn all the so-called stereotypes of men, women, and transgenders and all sexualities. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I was talking about this core, right? The core ideology. Where are we reaching? What is the end point? And how are we going to, take this forward? What is this ideology? I think it is gender inclusivity. So, where do we stand? Where do we stand with respect to, accepting all genders and all sexualities? Are we open to it? Will we be able to say, hey, come on, it's not a big deal? Will we be able to support them? Will we be able to support ourselves when we figure out that we are sexually, a different person? Where do we stand? How do we name it? How do we put a label on it? We can call it camaraderie. We can call it power feminism. Power feminism, as I said, I will talk about it. A power feminism is something where we feel powerful ourselves from within without having someone else to say that we are powerful. Just like how we celebrate Women's Day and Mother's Day, where someone else talks about us. How irrelevant, right? Someone else talks about us, talks about our sacrifices. We are remembered for our sacrifices. A man's day or a father's day, my father has sacrificed so much. Why should a father sacrifice? Why should a mother sacrifice? Why should a woman sacrifice? We are all coexisting in this world, aren't we? So we are all talking about sacrifices, Women's Day, Mother's Day, and we are putting a tag on ourselves and we guilt trip each other if we don't live up to it. So how do we, eradicate all these ideologies from within us? We have to feel powerful from within us. We have to feel that we can talk about anything. For example, I'm talking about sexuality today without even thinking about being judged because I don't care. Nobody has to care about it. This is something that we are living with. We have to live with. And yes, Gayatri Karthikeyan, we have a long way to go. Yes, that's right. But, just like how Naomi Wolf wrote in 1993 and we are talking about it in 2021, I hope someone will talk about this in a few years. So, I didn't read this comment. Just a minute. We are expected to make these sacrifices. And yes, we'll be judged. But should we care about it? No. It's not worth it, Richa. Trust me. So where do we stand with respect to accepting all these genders and sexualities? I just want you to take, I want this ideology to be taken home. We can call it camaraderie, sisterhood. We can call this power feminism. We can call this gender inclusivity. And for that matter, we can even call this gender equality. Isn't it? Next slide, please.
Yes.
So I want to tell you guys that I'm also a writer. I'm a novelist. I've written 2 novels. And I want to read from one of my books. So if you are really interested in reading any of my books, I'd be honored. So that is available in Amazon. You just have to type my name out. It will be available. So why am I writing books? I honestly don't have no clue because I love writing. But do I have a goal? Yes, I have a goal because I believe that we are all equals and we all have to support each other without having to victimize ourselves and without having to demonize others. So I have been writing for quite a long time, and something that is very important to me in the whole process is mental health and how we struggle with our mental health and juggle between several ideologies that we shouldn't think about is one of the main ideas. So this is my first book. This is a psychological thriller. The second book, I'll first finish this first book and then I'll talk about the second one, just so that we get an idea of how we have to march towards love. So I'm going to read a poem that I've written. Something tickles inside. Know me, do you art magic? To be something in nothing at all. Love and emotions tragic. At my end, turning high rank philosophical. Intonations falling, the heavy kick. All over the senses fastened with shell. A somber tone ever binding sick. Being happy, the need of the hour. But worms move in the brain, sunburnt. Do you see what I bore? Nothingness and emptiness drain. The seclusion clasps together and dare to inject hell within me to crown, and deep inside my eyes it stare. I just wish to rest in peace and to cuddle and entwine my destiny as the main ingredient, but seize it rather and gift it back irony. Mind filling with discussion never ease to release the soul in the present corny. But the time endless to strife face. Do you find me? You never can. I never seem to you human. I'm no superhuman too. To tan your mind with fright, wrath, and run away. Anyway, I sleep, wake up, and scan anyone within them me, run like blood tickling in each end like sun. But I don't need it, but I choose not. That it squeaked rising tones within me, ruled it, making an insecure knot. So strong and bound, cleaved in bones, shuffling me off every time I brought a new me, and shutting me in veins to exist with it again. Loneliness. So I think loneliness is something that nobody should ever face in one's life. And women for quite a long time have been facing being lonely. They have been lonely. And then now we have LGBTQ plus who have no support. we have to just respect people's choices, even if it is a mistake, even if you think that they are making a mistake. It's a choice at the end of the day. My second book is called A Canopy of Darkness. This is a satire. I've tried to make my characters gender neutral. You will find no name. You will only find the characteristics. So I'm trying to do something about it. Are you? So I'm open for questions, I think.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yes, hi.
Naomi.
Yes,
Naomi.
Naomi. Yes, hello.
It was an absolute pleasure listening to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I have two questions.
Yes, please.
And the first one is, according to me, in the at present, the most abused words after God is feminism and equality.
Yes.
So, how do you see that people misusing this term without even knowing the actual meaning of feminism, or the term that we call as pseudo-feminism? How do you see that? And second, when we are still talking about our rights, like women rights, when are we going to step up and talk about transgenders' rights? Like now we have this law of accepting marriages, but where are we at?
Yeah.
How are we? When are we going to talk about the sexual harassment that they are going through? When are we going to talk about their side, especially
Exactly.
when it comes to law? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for these wonderful questions. First, yes, there are feminazis, pseudo-feminists. As I told you, it takes some time for us to evolve. We have to give the benefit of doubt for people to evolve and figure out themselves, because at the end of the day, even if you teach me math for 10 years, it's up to me to understand math. So I am telling math because math is my enemy. So some of us will not be able to understand something for no reason at all. So, but women are evolving. As I told you, we really have to talk to them about it, just like how I'm talking about gender inclusivity and talking about power feminism and how we are supposed to break all the stereotypes. Maybe in the future it might happen. We have a long way to go, but yes, I'm very confident and positive that we are going to go reach there sometime soon. Question number 2, yes, we are talking about transgenders now. I'm very, very happy that we are able to talk about it. We have laws that has come, and yes, there are downsides. I absolutely agree. As I told you, people still do not understand what these are. There are no experts in the committee to make decisions, and there are no transgenders in the committee to make decisions. Maybe in the future, it can come. It has to come, I believe. I am also looking forward, just like you, Nani. Yes, Sriharsha.
Ma'am, it was excellent presentation. We loved it.
Thank you.
And apart from that, when you asked, how do we bring gender inclusivity? I think by asking the right questions, like how here Gayatri mentioned that women get more privileges in workplace, which I do not agree with, because obviously pay gap is there. Apart from there, we always say that women sleep through their way through
Yeah,
the
I get it.
companies,
Yes.
the jobs. So why do we ask that why women are doing this, and not asking why men of power are keeping sex as a way of
Sex on the table. Yes.
yes, sex on the table? Why are they keeping that on the table and taking women for advantage of women? That is the first thing. And second thing, when we talk about transgender or coming out as lesbian or gay or bi, I think that it should not be a thing, the coming out thing. If some, for example, my child says that my child doesn't have to come to me and say that I am straight, mom, or I am bi. My child is my child, and their sexuality is their business, and it should not be my business whatsoever. So
That's
that is
right.
what I think. Coming out has been a big
No,
deal.
coming
And
out might not be a big deal to us, but coming out is a big deal to them because they are voicing out who they are. They're identifying. As I told you, this is gender identity. They
Right.
feel that they feel identified when they speak about it. So that is
Right.
a big deal to them. It might not sound like,
No,
okay,
like
maybe in
from
the long run, whatever you say might work.
I
Maybe, for
understand what you are.
example,
Yeah.
for a few years, I might be a man, and after a few years, I might feel like a woman. So this is sexual fluidity,
Right.
and people kind of started explaining that as well. Yes, Sriharsha, sorry, I stopped you in between.
No, no, it's okay. Like I am saying that I agree that, for them it's very important,
Yeah.
coming out. But I'm like, as parents or people who are listening to it and understanding it, I think that we should be treating them, same, that, no matter what a child is, bi
Yeah.
or straight or trans, they are our children or they are the people we love. So why
Yeah.
do we change the mentality towards them just because of their sexuality? Like that is what I was saying, that their sexuality is their business and it should not be our business at
Not
all.
just their sexuality, their individuality itself is their business.
Exactly.
Parenting has always been about control. If you
Exactly.
and control, even now we have, when I see the term parenting control or parental control in Prime or in any television, sorry, in the TV thing, I feel so angry because parenting control has always been like, they've been in hand for years, centuries together. And that has to change. As children grow, they evolve, they are individuals, and we have to, eliminate ourselves from their lives. That's
I
very
agree
true,
with
Sriharsha.
you because, like, as during my healing journey, I learned one thing, that we are the victims of victim. So we also cannot blame our parents because it's also a learned pattern and they need to
Exactly.
unlearn it. And that's how we need to break the generational trauma.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, we also need to understand they are also victims.
That's right.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sriharsha. Thanks a lot.
Hello.
Yeah.
Questions? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon,
Hi.
ma'am.
Hi, Kuldeep.
Uh, Kuldeep, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is that, that in everything we see that religion plays its main role. Everything like in conflict or in women's role. I'm especially talking about women's role. That, every religion defines their role in their own way, in every religious text. So,
Yeah.
you think that, do you think that, it is quite difficult to overcome those rules which are defined by our religion? And as I was reading somewhere, Molve, I think, that she says that women's demands are utopian demands. They cannot be fulfilled. Do you agree with this, that with the passage of time, the things have changed for women? Yes, they have changed. But the thing is that the same class which was suffering before 100 years, the same class is suffering even today. I'm talking about women, right? So do you think that how we can overcome from these things, like through kind of things which our religion defines, and do you think that these problems can be sorted out with the passage of time completely?
Kuldeep, there was a lot of network issues from your side. I was able to figure out what you were trying to say. I'm going to answer. Let me know. Stop me if I haven't understood you properly, okay?
Okay, okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sure.
I heard bits and pieces of your question. Anyway,
Okay.
so religion, yes, religion, if that is a topic for another debate, another day. But since you asked, this is the main point with which women are fighting, because women are either portrayed as witches, sorceress,
Yes.
or goddess. There's no gray line in between. They're not treated as human beings who are capable of making mistakes. We cannot make
Yes.
mistakes. That is the whole point. And if you make a mistake, you have to live with it. But if a person in the epic, he makes a mistake, he can go back and he can, try to figure it out and solve it or replace it with a sacrifice or something. You get it? You get my point?
Yes.
So
Yes,
this
yes,
is
yes.
one of the main reasons why women have started fighting. And you can see from Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, there is a whole account of religion in it. How to come out of it? I guess we'll slowly come out of it. Yes, I believe so, because as researchers, we can do that, I guess. And as next gen parents, we can definitely do that.
Asmam, I'm reading, my research is on Afghanistan, I'm doing
Sorry,
my PhD.
Kuldeep, I cannot understand. Ma'am, can you hear him? Or is it
Ma'am,
only
I
me?
think he has some internet issue. Mr. Kuldeep Singh, can you type out your question in the chat box also? So I think there's an
Okay,
internet
ma'am.
issue.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. No issue, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I will definitely answer your question, Kuldeep. Just type your question.
Just type out your question in the chat box, sir.
Before I go to Kuldeep's question, we'll give him some time to type. Anyone else has any question?
Hello, Soundarya ma'am. The presentation was really wonderful.
Thank you.
You walked us through a lot of things that we have, of course, heard of before, but then we did not have proper knowledge of these things. We did not have proper understanding of these things. Let's say, for instance, all these years, a lot of my friends have told me being a gay or being a lesbian or the other terms that we made a mention of in the presentation is not something that you choose, and they kind of over the years have developed an understanding, and they are very vocal about the soft spot they have for these people. It's not that we should really have a spot for these people, or they expect us to understand them or anything like that. As you said, this should be made commonplace. This should be made normal, or what we call as normal, right? But then there is this problem of understanding bisexuals. A lot of people have this misunderstanding that bisexuals, they have the choice between choosing a man and choosing a woman when it comes to this orientation thing. It's a matter of convenience for them, for the most part, they think. So, can you shed a little light on why bisexuals are being misunderstood, and how that can be made clear to people that bisexuals are very much like a gay person or a lesbian person, who are treated with respect, or who we say that are to be treated with respect?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for asking this question, Ganesh. I actually don't have time to, I didn't have time to incorporate all these ideas. Thank you for this question on the first hand. Okay. So at the outset, bisexuals, as you say, are definitely misinterpreted. They can be attracted to a man and a woman. All of us get attracted to everybody. Isn't it true? Don't we look, personally, I look at a girl and I said, what kind of a beautiful girl she is, or, how long her hair is, or, how her physique or shape is, how I am not able to achieve that. So we are all biological bodies that secrete both testosterone and estrogen. And it's just like that. And they kind of, how do I say it? Bisexuals, they come out and they talk about it. That's the only difference. Many of us don't talk about it. Okay, that is the first point. Point number 2, integrity is something that is from within, just like liberty and just like power. Just like power. If I choose to be with integrity, I will be with integrity. If I choose to cheat on you, I will cheat on you. You will never find it out. Don't you agree? So the common misconception with bisexuals is that if they are in a relationship, they will cheat when they get their sexual juices flowing. No, they are also human beings who have integrity, and integrity is common to all humanity. Did I answer your question, Ganesh?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ganesh.
Thank you.
Okay. Kuldeep
Ma'am,
said that he's got his
yes,
answer.
ma'am. I think
Yeah.
he has messaged, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I think almost all the participants here would agree that your presentation was really very informative and we've got to know a lot. And I also think we all should believe that everyone is equal. I mean, there's no restrictions to everyone. I mean, this world is open to everyone and everyone has the equal rights to go forward with whatever they feel. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for being with us today. And it was really a wonderful session. Hoping to see you in more sessions in future, ma'am.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, all of you, for being, how do I say it, responsive and interactive. Unlike